Laura, how are you?
Okay, how are you?
Doing okay.
The weather's pretty nasty in New York. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to get on.
Hmm. Huh. We had some rain today. I was really expecting it to be more thunderstorms, but I was sorely disappointed that it wasn't.
That's how it is right now. It's really coming down.
Huh. Well, I trust Zoom to get us through this tonight, so hopefully we'll be okay.
Yes.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Good evening, everyone.
Do you have the recording on?
I do, yes. Thank you, Laura.
Okay. You're welcome.
I'm glad you reminded me. Yeah, it's like my kids. I'll say to them, remind me to take out the garbage later, and they'll look at me and say, Dad, take out the garbage later. I said, that's not helpful. So then I finally say to them, you know what? You take it out. You're the kid. You get to do it. I'll do a whole webinar series on how to torture a teen another time. Okay. It is good to see you all here once again tonight. I did not get the Zoom meeting from last night up until around noontime today. Usually I do it earlier, but you'll notice that it is there now, the one from last night, and also the PowerPoint that I used last night. All of the PowerPoints that we're going to be using are up there now, with a couple more that you might just be interested in. So we had a meeting of the 3 clinical practice EdTPA mentors today, and we all found out that we're all doing different things for our live meetings. It's okay. It works out fine. But what I thought I was going to do was change the plan around a little bit. Tonight, we're going to do avoiding common mistakes with EdTPA. Tomorrow night, we're going to take a look at the checklist of things that you're going to have to turn in. And that will also leave us time for any other questions that you might have while we are still in this forum. We are now in August, and that means that some of the student teaching courses have already started. And yours will probably be starting sooner rather than later. Therefore, we want to get you ready for that as well. So tonight, we're going to take a look at avoiding common mistakes with EdTPA. It should not take us as long as last night. I want you to know that I admire your fortitude in sticking with me through these evening sessions. One other thing, if you have not turned in EdTPA documents, do you know what I mean in the PLN? At the end of each stage, there is a form that you need to fill out saying that you have completed the stage. Okay? Have all of you done that?
No.
Is that the one that you answer questions?
No.
You sign?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So
If- Go ahead.
is it a form or we're just responding to like the,
It's something that has to be submitted. It doesn't go in the forum.
I don't
It's
know.
right at the end. If you go to the stages part of your work of the PLN, not the forums, but the stages. If you go to the stages where the actual work is, at the very end of each stage is a document that you need to fill out and sign. Okay? It may be a little quiz or something like that. But that's how we track whether or not you have finished the stage.
Just to be clear, is it a link?
It's a link. It is a link. So if you have not yet seen that or you haven't done it, please do, because I want to make sure that after all this work of showing up to my meetings, you get it's down on paper that you completed the PAST. Now, I don't expect you to have completed the whole thing, okay? But at least begin to send in those page forms as soon as you get them. That's how we keep track of who's completed the course.
Could you maybe share on your screen, like, I don't know, just to make sure we're all looking at like the same thing? Because
Yes. Let me see if I can find it for you.
I was wondering, I think that I've filled out most of them, but does it start at stage 2?
There should be one for stage 1, I think. Let me get there and we'll take a look, okay?
Okay.
And I'll share with you as soon as I get in. If you hear the crash of thunder, by the way, you're hearing Laura in New York.
Yes, the weather's terrible.
Okay, I'm in, and now I'm going to share with you all. Won't that be fun? We're all hoping that I do this right, by the way. Okay, do you see?
yes.
All right, so let's take a look at stage 2, okay? So these are the stages. You see that handsome fellow right there. Looks just like George Clooney. All right, maybe not quite like George Clooney. All right, so you have, here it is. Complete the stage 2 document. And this is it.
Is that the first one? Because I didn't see that on.
This is for stage 2.
Hi.
Okay? So here are the stages. This is the forums where you find the live meetings. This is the stages where you find the real work. Okay? So this is the, oh, it will do it. Okay. So here we go. And you should see, hopefully, something come up. I've never gone here before. Okay. Look at what you would need to do. You fill out the little quiz. Okay, what do? You all know this. What do you do before video recording for EdTPA?
Obtain permission.
Yep,
Yes.
exactly. What have you learned about video recording for EdTPA?
They should be a time constraint within.
Right. No editing, 10-minute single videos, 20, you can say anything. Other than recorded video clips, what else is included in task 2? You know this. What's included in all the tasks?
Commentaries, options.
Yep. Okay, so you would fill that out, and then you would click here to sign and put your email address, and then it would submit to the College of Education.
Is that okay if they're not in by, that we don't do it right after we meet? Because even if we've been.
Oh, no. You can do it anytime. And remember, our course is not officially over until Friday. And you can even do it after that. These courses will stay open for you for your whole student teaching. So,
Oh, that's great.
so
Thank you for sharing, because I wouldn't have known that this existed.
well, only because today we met and we went over who's already, we didn't get names, but we got percentages of people who have turned it in, and only 25% have turned these in. And so I thought I would mention it to you because you've all been so diligent about coming to the meetings. I want to make sure that you get the appropriate credit. You don't really get credit for doing this course, but at least this way we have a record of it.
Mm-hmm.
I had trouble with the link.
You had trouble with the link?
Yeah.
Okay.
With one of the links needed for the information, I had trouble in stage 2.
All right. Did you have trouble with this link or with a different link?
It was one of the information.
Okay.
I know some questions are answered in that link. So.
Yeah, that's something that I'm not quite sure what to do, frankly, because I don't deal with the technology stuff. We did talk about some dead links today, and we do have a couple of them. So do what you can around it for now.
Okay, all right. But do I still need to complete?
But still complete those end of the stage forms.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there a form for stage 1?
Yes.
Because I didn't see it for stage 1, just stage 2.
Neither do I.
You don't see it for stage
No.
1?
Yeah.
All right, then don't worry about stage 1. Just go through stage 2. And
Okay.
I'll check back through my stuff and see if I'm missing one.
That's what I found too, is I can find one for 1.
These
I would
questions under page
start
1.
2 through 5 and just get those in as soon as you can. You don't have to do it tonight or tomorrow. When you finish that particular stage, go ahead and do that.
Okay.
And again, to be honest with you, it's more for us, although it will also help you get a little certificate at the end so that you can show your student teaching instructor that you have completed the PAST. Now, it is not a requirement. So when you get into your student teaching course, They're going to ask you for it. If you don't have it, just say that you don't have it.
Okay.
Okay? There are a lot of people that did not take PAST, and all of a sudden, when the student teaching course starts, they think they have to go back and do it. We don't want you doing PAST at the same time as student teaching. It's too much. And those people that don't have it, we'll get them information differently.
So just to be clear, just worry about filling out stages 2 to 5.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll look back and see if stage 1 is there. And I can let you know tomorrow night, or I can announce it in class in the course room. But just do 2 to 5. Don't go crazy over it. But I just wanted to make sure that you all in particular knew that it was there.
No.
You've been so good about attending these.
Sharing that because I didn't know.
Now, during your student teaching courses, there will be other informational meetings available for you, okay? I will be leading 4 study sessions during the student teaching course for all EdTPA students. Also, if you are in my, well, I don't know about the other special ed teachers, but if you're in my course for special education, I will be sharing with you special education specific EdTPA Zoom meetings. So we will go over planning task 1, we will go over instructional task 2, and we will go over task 3 specifically. So there are also question and answer sessions that we may have. So don't think that once PAST is over, we're kind of leaving you hanging out there to dry. We are going to be here to help you through this whole process. And even if you're not in my course in particular, you are welcome to call me or to email me if you have questions or need information. If you need information about EdTPA, do not go to your advisors. And if your if your instructor can't answer it, then come to me and I will help you. Okay?
Okay.
And so whether you have me or not, you have access to me during the semester. Okay. Just remember, not at 1 in the morning. My family frowns on that a bit. Okay. So does that help with the stages and everything?
Yes.
Good. All right. Let's talk about avoiding common mistakes. And this is not going to take us all night, like last night did. Of course, if it worked. Oh, you know why it's not working? Because Techno Bob over here didn't put it in PowerPoint mode. There we go. Aha, here we go. Task 1, planning for instruction and assessment. Are your templates formatted as word processing files? Example, Microsoft Word, pages. No PDF. Do not put your commentaries into PDF format. I find, frankly, that a number of students, I don't know if any of you do this, and you don't have to confess to me. Some students put all of their work in PDF. It looks better, but it's impossible to comment on. Do you know what I mean? You can't edit it. And so I usually have to spend time converting it back to a Word file in order to be able to leave comments. That does not make me happy. It will make your scorer even less happy. Are you using content-specific templates? Make sure that you have the templates that are on the PLN for special education. That is your area. Are you using appropriate lesson plan templates? Again, we favor the GCU template for reasons that I have explained before. Do not just go online and look for a simplified form of a template. That's going in the wrong direction, as we discussed last night. Do your plans for language development explain how you will support the whole class and groups of students? You must plan for any scaffolding accommodations you make to the lessons. Well, this is not a hard one for us because we only have one student, and in special education, it's all about accommodations, isn't it?
Yes.
So you guys should have this. Did you include clear directions for administering the assessment you will use in task 3? So whatever assessment you decide to use, make sure your students understand it. Which means what? Should you just deliver it verbally?
No, you model it.
You model it, and you may even want to write it down so that the student can refer to it. So just be careful about that. Does your assessment include quantitative questions, which can be correct or incorrect? Qualitative questions, which are open-ended? And student voice questions, which include students assessing their own performance on the learning target or central focus. So again, we don't want to turn in an assessment, a multiple guess question assessment with lots of red ink on it, because what does that tell the student? Nothing, except what they got wrong. So we can do quantitative questions. So you can do some multiple choice, right or wrong. But we also want qualitative questions, open-ended essays or short answers, and student voice questions. You want the students to be able to correct themselves and move towards their own mastery of the subject without your help. Is there alignment between the lesson plans and assessment questions for the learning segment? This actually came up in our meeting today. Alignment is the degree to which planning, instruction, and assessment overlap concepts. There must be complete alignment between the learning goal, the objectives, and the lesson plans. So as I've said to you before, if you are doing a discussion of the Civil War, you can incorporate some vocabulary into one of your lessons, but don't do an entire separate lesson on vocabulary because that is not the Civil War. Everybody understand?
Yeah.
Don't get caught going off on a tangent or in another direction because they are very, very, very laser focused on making sure everything is aligned properly. Are you typing your responses in between the brackets? You'll see the brackets on the commentary templates. Are you abiding by the page number specifications? Quickest way to get your work thrown out is by having too many pages or too much video. Are you backing up your files in an additional location to avoid accidental loss of work? You should all have a OneDrive given to you by GCU along with your Outlook 365, right? You know you all get free Outlook 365 with GCU.
Yes.
Okay. If you want to use OneDrive, use OneDrive. I use Dropbox, which is also free, but keep a cloud location for your EdTPA files. Number one, because you don't want to lose them. If, for example, Laura's computer gets hit by lightning tonight in the next 5 minutes, and she loses everything on her computer, if she has it on the cloud, it is backed up and she can retrieve it as soon as she gets a new computer. Or if you are working in a variety of places, say you're working in a library or you need to get out of the house so you don't want to work at home, if you are on a cloud like OneDrive or Dropbox, your work goes with you. You can access it anywhere. I know that this is true because I have been in the middle of the Caribbean and accessed my Dropbox for GCU. Yes. Now one might say, what is one doing accessing one's Dropbox? I work on vacations. Okay. Task 2, instructing and engaging students in learning. Have you obtained video consent for all students and adults who appear in the video? Again, you're not going to do anything with those except put them in a locked drawer and hold on to them. Have you maintained privacy in your video storage location? What is the thing you cannot do with your videos?
Edit them.
Right, you can't edit them, but I mean in terms of privacy.
Share them.
Share them on social media.
That's right. Do not put them up on YouTube or social media or even in your online portfolio that you're going to do for GCU. Don't, nope, you can't use them there. You cannot put any of your EdTPA materials into your GCU portfolio. The only thing you can do with them is send them to Pearson at the right time.
So we're not sending the videos to our instructor.
No,
Okay.
no, not even to your student teaching evaluator.
Okay. So you're saying this OneDrive is the location to store. What about like a Google Drive through your personal email?
Google Drive is fine. OneDrive is fine.
Okay.
Dropbox is fine. I mean, there are enough free ones out there now that you don't really need to worry about having to pay for it. And in terms of how much space it takes, EdTPA really doesn't take that much space. You're not talking about a book.
What about a flash drive?
What about who?
A flash drive.
A blast drive?
Flash drive.
Flash drive, USB.
Oh, a flash drive.
Yeah.
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 Sure, you can do that also. My suggestion would be that you still keep a copy on the cloud because you can lose a flash drive. Or it can get damaged. So, you know, either thing would be fine. I suggest some kind of cloud. Flash drive will work also. OneDrive is preferred only because GCU uses it and has its own OneDrive. Does your video contain acceptable quality audio with any inaudible portions transcribed? So there are a couple of situations in which you may want to transcribe some of the dialogue on your audio. One is if your student speaks very softly and the microphone doesn't pick it up. That's something you really want to make sure of before you start doing your official videotaping. As a video supervisor, I have students who will send me their classes so that I can be their student teacher evaluator in places where they don't have people who could go into the classroom. Sometimes the audio is so bad, I can't hear what the teacher is doing. So you need to check and make sure that your audio quality is good. The other situation would be if you're working with nonverbal students, which came up last night. If you're working with nonverbal students, you will need to transcribe their speech, quote unquote, and their method of communication onto paper. And those need to be exact, you know, like court reporter transcriptions. They need to be exact transcriptions. And those pages do not count towards your commentary pages. So, you know, if you're only allowed 6 pages and you have 3 pages of transcription, that's fine. It doesn't count towards the 6 pages. Does your video reveal subject-specific student thinking from your learning segments? Remember, the focus is always on the student. Excuse me. The focus is always on the student. So you're going to want to make sure that you have the student thinking about, discussing, working on the subject, not just you. Hint, students should use academic language to demonstrate their learning, understanding, of the learning goal, of the learning segment. Have you connected your students' prior academic learning with personal, cultural, and community assets? So again, you would use a pre-assessment along with an understanding of the student's diversity and the assets available to the student in the community. All of those things would be important in order to do the instructional test. Sorry, an email just appeared on the bottom of my screen. I hope you can see it. Okay. Don't you hate when that happens? Do your clips demonstrate a respectful learning environment and student rapport? So make sure that the student you choose is one with whom you have a good rapport. Do you ensure your video clip meets the requirements for content and length? We've talked about that. Hint, each clip should be continuous without any disruption in footage. No editing. 1 to 2 clips, no more than 10 minutes each, or 20 minutes if you're only using 1 clip. Very important next hint. Don't speak to the camera. Don't say hello to the scorer. Don't give an introduction because then it looks like it is scripted. Do you know what I mean? So don't look at the video and say, "Hi, this is Dr. Sid, and I'm about to teach a lesson to my focus student. And here he is." Okay.
I have a question. For like, let's say your video you're recording one day and then you have to do the next clip the next day. Is that okay? You just like record and then just continue. It's okay if it's 2 different days, but like continuing.
Oh, I would do a video clip for each lesson. So you want to do lesson 1, you start it, you tape the lesson, you finish it. And then you start with a new lesson the next day and a new video.
Okay.
Don't try to video everything all together. That would be a mistake. And then afterwards, you go through those lessons and you go through those clips and you choose the 2 that best provide evidence of student learning and will help illustrate your instructional commentary. Task 3, assessing student learning. Does your assessment criteria for the assessment include sections for quantitative evaluation, qualitative evaluation, and student voice evaluation expectations? We saw that in planning task 1. We are going to see that again here. Does your feedback to focus students offer clear and specific information on their performance related to the lesson objective? And so down below, we have our hint. You talk about a specific positive, a specific negative, and a strategy, or what I sometimes call a takeaway for student feedback. So something they did right, something that was a challenge, and a way to fix that challenge. Okay, I'll give you an example from my own work at GCU. Somebody who writes a reference at the end of a paper, they don't do it in APA formatting. So what I would do is I would talk about, yes, you said wonderful things in the paper and your quote is very good. However, you did not use APA formatting. Here is an example of how you would format an article from the internet using APA. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Then you would give an example, and then the person would know this is what I need to do next time. And that would fulfill all 3 elements of holistic feedback. Are you analyzing the assessment in alignment with the lesson plan learning goals? Like everything else, the assessment must be aligned with the learning goal. What level of thinking are students demonstrating? We're always looking for critical thinking. What are their gaps in understanding the learning objectives and concepts of the learning segment? Does your analysis of student learning include patterns for different groups of students or individuals? So you've got one focused student, and you're going to look in the assessment and in the work samples for patterns of things that the student is having difficulty with, or that the student already knows. And using those patterns, you can decide what the next step is going to be. Hint, use quantitative and qualitative evidence. See Handbook Glossary for more about patterns of learning. Have you provided analysis of student learning with a chart or graphic? Use a chart. Use a graphic. Maybe, question by question, or find a way to use a chart. I love charts, I love graphics, and I love maps. You don't need to use a map, but it's an easy way to illustrate the evidence of student learning. Have you used evidence to plan next steps in your instruction? So that would be the reason why you would do all of this analysis of the assessment is to decide what ought to happen next. Does your writing move beyond summarizing or showcasing your classroom practice? In other words, don't get drawn off the path by discussing what you do. You want to talk about what the student does and what the student learns. Are you demonstrating evidence of that your students are learning? That is the key to this whole thing. You write about it in the commentary, but then using the videos, using the assessments, using the work samples, pre-assessment, post-assessment, your job is to provide evidence and data to show that the student is learning. Because education today is a data-driven enterprise. Have you included research theory in justifying your instructional choices? Again, we talked about that last night, and you want to make sure that you're up on those theories and that you mention them if they are behind the strategies that you use. Have you correctly cited all references? EdTPA citations need to be in APA format. Did you abide by the EdTPA originality requirements? EdTPA uses plagiarism detection software, just like we have Lopeswrite. EdTPA has Turnitin or something like that. And so you don't want to inadvertently or advertently, I don't know if that's a word even. Well, you don't want to use somebody else's work, even by accident. Have you proofread extensively to avoid any unclear, sloppy writing? Now, let me be very clear about this. EdTPA is not going to take off points for bad grammar and for bad sentence structure. They're not an English course. However, if you are not clear in your discussion, or if your discussion is not in depth enough, they will take away points. Okay, as I said, this was going to be a short one tonight. Tomorrow nights will be short also. But any questions that you might have about anything related to EdTPA?
I have a question about APA format. So after you provide citations, like would the very last page of the EdTPA be like a reference page?
You may want to provide resources, a resource page at the end of each of the tasks.
Okay.
So for the ones that you used in that task.
Got it. Okay.
And remember, for the most part, the citations are going to be things like where you got your worksheets or the books that you're using as texts. That's primarily what you're going to need to cite.
Is there a numerical score, or is it just going to say pass or fail?
There is a numerical score for each task.
What's the passing score?
That is a difficult question to answer because the numerical score is different in each state.
Oh.
So in order to find out that information, you will need to go to your own Department of Education, either New York State or Georgia or Wisconsin, and they will tell you what their cut score is.
Okay.
And in New York, if you do not pass, there are some other ways for you to deal with that.
Are we meeting on Friday evening or tomorrow's the last live meeting?
Tomorrow is the last live meeting.
Okay.
I do not do anything on Friday nights and Saturdays.
Makes
So,
sense.
so we will not be meeting.
Okay.
And we generally at GCU, we do not do Zoom meetings on weekends. So, so tomorrow night is our last session. But again, if you decide that you miss me and, you know, can't go through the evening without hearing my mellifluous voice talking about EdTPA, number one, you can listen to the recorded ones. Or number two, you can go to my YouTube channel, Dr. Sid's EdTPA Grand Canyon channel. Or you can call me if you have a real question. Don't call me just to hear my voice. My wife would get suspicious.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
With the assessments, can we use exit and entry and exit tickets?
You can use that. Well, you have to show formative assessments. So you can definitely use entrance and exit tickets.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Something came up in one of my classes the other day, and I thought I'd mention it to you. Now that you brought up exit and exit tickets, I had someone who was upset because they couldn't look at all the exit tickets before the students left the room. They were trying to do that. And I want you all understand that when you use an exit ticket, you collect it as they leave the room. And then you look at it that night and come back the next day with what they did correctly and what they did incorrectly.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't try to do it while they're leaving the room.
Gotcha.
I was just kind of surprised, and I wrote a comment to that person and said, well, you know, that's the exit ticket is for the next day so that you can go over it, you know, with some detail, and you know what you need to go back and reteach. Other questions? Anything else for tonight? I thought I heard a questioning breath. Okay. Well, then we will meet one more time tomorrow evening where if you have any questions, think about it tonight, write them down maybe, and I will leave plenty of opportunity for that. We'll go over a checklist. You will see this checklist again of things that you will need to make sure that you have before you turn in your EdTPA. And then, as I said, I will be available to you during your student teaching course, particularly for special education, which is my, the EdTPA for special ed is my thing. And so I will be available to you during student teaching for help with your EdTPA.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. And Laura, I hope the thunder has abated.
Yes, it has, for the time being anyway.
For the time being. Good. Good. See, we made it through.
Yes.
Okay. All right, everyone. Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.